for you to optimize your short game, you need to learn just 3 shots, and that will cover every single shot around the green. Okay, so shot number 1 is the chip and run shot. So this is in a position where you've got nothing to go over. We can get that ball running as soon as possible. Okay, so in a situation like this where I've got nothing to go over, I want to land that ball on the front edge of the green and just let it release down to the hole. So you need to pick a club that's going to allow you to do that. I've picked a 9-iron here. If you're uphill, if you're perhaps even closer to the green, you might take a 7 or an 8-iron, but the principle is get that ball running as soon as possible. Okay, and like all short game shots, we want to create a setup that's going to dictate what we're trying to do. So in this particular shot, I've got a narrow stance. I usually say around about a club head width between my heels, and then I want to stand as really close to it. So I want to get to a point where the heel of the club is nearly off the ground, or even just slightly off the ground. That's going to allow me then to grip down the club, and it's going to allow me to treat this like an extended putt. Okay, and that's really key. We don't want any wrist in this shot, so we don't want any of this. We just want to keep our wrists and our arms locked out, where we are just rocking our shoulders back and through. And then it's just a case of trying to find our landing spot. So I'm looking a couple of paces on the front edge of the green there, and I'm just trying to find my landing spot where I can just rock back and through, and we can just see the ball then doing the rest of the work. Okay, so you can see that it was a really short swing, doesn't require any wrist at all. All I'm trying to do is use my shoulders, lean into this left side, rock back and through, and we can just see there the ball is doing the rest of the work. So with practice, this should be something that you should be able to repeat 7-8 times out of 10. In this situation, I would always be looking to get up and down, and this is why I would lean towards this type of shot if you've got the opportunity, because it is super reliable, really just about feel with practice, and you should start to get up and down more times than not. Okay, so shot number 2. This is where we need a mid-flighted shot. Okay, so if we're in a situation like this where we have to carry the ball 50% and let it roll 50%, we need to hit a shot and take a club that's going to give us that. Okay, so I've grabbed my 50-degree wedge here. So this is going to give me a little bit more height, but then it's also should stop in time to get to the hole. If with practice, if we find out that the 50 degree is running a bit too much, we can go for our 54, so a little bit more loft. Again, you'll start to see a theme here where on that first shot where we perhaps want to land it a third and run 2/3, we're now at 50-50. So always think about how far do I want to land it, how far does it need to roll, okay? And as these shots start to progress, what you'll see is that we start to introduce a little bit more wrist, where the first one was very much no wrists at all. We're now still controlled by the body, but there is going to be a little bit of wrist hinge. So we're still allowing the wrist to hinge. And for me, one of the big things that's going to allow you to get that wrist hinge is having a light grip. Okay, so we want the same principles in the setup, but by having a light grip, that's going to allow us to just set that club a little bit more. So you'll see there that that ball will go into the air with a bit more wrist set, and it's going to land fairly softly but still releasing down to the flag. So we'll see that ball just pop up in the air and release down to the flag. So it's not a shot, it's a shot where essentially you still need some green to work with. I'm using this shot because there's plenty of green between the fringe and the flag. Okay, so still controlling it with the shoulders, back and through, and we see that ball just pop up and release down towards the flag. Okay, so you can see here that the main progression is the length of swing. Okay, so by controlling this length of swing, the same length back and through, we're going to get the result that we're looking for. So the third and final shot that you're going to need is a high lofted chip. Okay, so this is when you're in a situation like this where the ball has to spend 75-80% in the air and 20% rolling. So it's a shot that has to go high. We have to create loft, okay? So we know that this is quite a high risk shot, and I would only use this shot when you absolutely have to, but in a situation like this where we're forced to, then we have to know what to do, okay? So first of all, similar to a bunker shot, you need to take your maximum lofted club. So I've got my 58-degree wedge here, and you'll see the theme throughout the video here that as the swing develops, or as these shots get higher, then naturally we're going to need more of our wrists and more of the club helping us get the ball in the air. So you'll see that as I take this shot here, that the butt end of the club is pointing down, okay? So the chip and run shot was very much in this position, and then gradually this swing is developing and getting longer so we can create that loft that we need, okay? And again, controlling everything is the body, okay? So the body still has to turn. In terms of the setup, if you've got a pretty good lie, then you can afford to get that ball a bit further forward in your stance. So the further forward you put the ball, the more loft you can create. As you can imagine, if this ball's too far back here, we have too much shaft lean and we're going to hit down with very little loft. So get that ball forward in the stance, similar to what you would do in a bunker shot, and then from there we can create loft much easier. You'll see that my hands are in a very neutral position here that basically allows me to create that extra loft, and it pops up in the air nicely. So even with a perhaps what would be quite a difficult shot, we can create a setup here that is going to allow you to create that loft that you probably wouldn't always need to be able to get. I see a lot of guys opening club faces and standing very open and swinging really hard. Now that could be good, but it's very, very high risk. If you create this setup here that's going to maximize the loft, it's much easier shot to pop up in the air, okay? One final thing I'll leave you with on this particular shot, I like to use my right hand a little bit more. So as I come through, I just allow that club head to overtake the hands as I'm coming through. We don't want too much shaft lean. Let that right hand, let that club head overtake the hands as you're swinging through. So same idea with the setup, and let that right hand just overtake, nearly in the hole there, just caught the flag. Okay, so 3 shots that all you really need in and around the green: the chip and run shot, the mid-flighted shot, and the high lob shot. Give those a go. It's helped a lot of my students over the years. It can help you guys too.